in a quiet village nestled by a slow, silver river, lived a young boy named Tom. His days were filled with simple things: fetching water, helping in the fields, and listening to his grandmother's stories by the fire. But Tom's heart was always drawn to the distant mountains, which stood like sleeping giants, blue in the morning and purple at sunset. He dreamed of the day he would see what lay behind them. One warm evening, as the sky blushed orange and pink, a bright light streaked across the sky, a spark of fire falling behind the tallest peak. Tom ran home, his heart thrumming with excitement. "Grandmother, did you see it?" His grandmother, her silver hair shimmering, looked up from the fire. "I did," she said softly. "Long ago I was told of the Starstone. It falls when the world needs a new story. Those who find it see the truth inside all things." A fire lit in Tom's own heart. "Can I look for it?" His grandmother smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "The world is wide and your feet are young. If your heart is bold and your steps are kind, the path will show itself." That night, with a small bag packed and his grandmother's compass in hand, Tom was ready. At sunrise, he set off toward the mountains, his grandmother's words echoing in his mind. "Courage is gentle, not loud." The first day was easy, the river a whispering friend beside him. He met a kind farmer who gave him 2 apples for the journey ahead. But by the second day, the path grew steep. Tom reached a deep, rocky gorge spanned by a rope bridge that swung in the wind. A woman with a scarf dancing in the breeze stood guard. "This bridge listens to your heart," she told him. "If you cross with fear, it shakes. If you cross with pride, it breaks. Cross with simple steps and a steady breath." Tom swallowed his fear, took a slow breath, and looked straight ahead. Step by step, the bridge steadied beneath him. He had crossed with a clean heart. The keeper of the bridge smiled. "Keep it that way," she said, before vanishing like a bird into the sky. His journey led him into a tall, dark forest, where the trees grew so close they formed a roof of green. He felt as if the forest itself was watching him. Soon a small orange fox appeared, its eyes bright and wary. It seemed to beckon him, and Tom followed it. The fox led him to a sun-dappled clearing, where an old man with a beard and a hat made of leaves sat peacefully. "Welcome," the man said. "I am the listener of the woods. The trees told me you were coming." He explained that trees talk to anyone who slows down enough to listen. Tom told him about his quest for the Starstone. The listener nodded. "Many have chased bright things and lost themselves," he said, "but you walk with patience and kindness. The forest approves." He gave Tom a pouch of trail dust, a powder that would glow to show the path if he ever lost his way. As evening fell, so did a heavy rain. Soaked and shivering, Tom spotted a faint light. It was a tiny house with smoke curling from its chimney. A woman with kind eyes named Mara welcomed him in, offering dry clothes and a bowl of hot soup. As Tom shared his story, Mara listened intently. She then gave him a simple tin whistle that had belonged to her husband. When he played, she said, the wind calmed and the waves grew gentle. Sometimes the world relaxes when it hears a kind song. Grateful, Tom slept by her fire, warm and safe. The next valley bustled with a vibrant market. Tents of red and gold filled a field, and voices from many lands blended into a single song. A map seller with sharp eyes called Tom over. "You need a map, I think." Tom pointed to the highest peak on one of the hand-painted maps. "Do you have a map to the Mountain of Stars?" The man leaned in. "Some mountains exist only when you believe in them," he whispered, before explaining the route, over the glass steps, past the Weeping Rock, through the Silent Pass. The price was 3 apples, but Tom only had 1. Seeing the honest desire in Tom's eyes, the man pushed the map toward him. "Take it," he said softly. "Pay me when you can. Once, I had a son who wanted to climb a mountain. He didn't go. I still hope someone does." The path soon turned to sheer cliffs. Before him rose a staircase made of clear, shining stone climbing into the sky. The glass steps. A sign read, "Step with Truth." With his first step, a voice in his head whispered of failure. The stair trembled. Tom stopped, took a deep breath, and spoke his fear aloud. "I am afraid, but I'll keep going." The trembling stopped. He climbed on, step by true step. When clouds enveloped him, obscuring the path, he sprinkled the listener's trail dust, and a faint glow illuminated the way forward. At the top, a woman in a grey cloak met him. "You walked with truth," she said, offering him water. "Do you know what you are really seeking?" she asked. "The Starstone," Tom replied, "to see the truth of the world." She smiled. "And the truth of yourself. Remember that." Next, his path led him past a tall cliff where water streamed down like silver tears. The sound was like distant crying, and it stirred a sadness in Tom. He sat and wept for all he had left behind. When his tears subsided, he felt lighter. A carving in the rock read, "Release, then rise." He then entered the Silent Pass, a deep cut between 2 mountains where no sound stirred. When a sudden storm of sleet blew in, Tom remembered Mara's gift. He raised the tin whistle and played a simple, gentle tune. Miraculously, the sleet softened to mist, and the clouds parted just enough for him to pass. At the end of the pass stood a hut. A man named Haim welcomed him inside with hot soup. "Sometimes the bright thing is not the treasure," Haim told him. "The road is." After a restful night, Tom began the final climb. The air grew thin, the world turned to rock and snow. Near sunset, he reached a ledge just below the final peak. As midnight approached, a strange music like distant bells filled the air, and the peak began to glow. He climbed the last stretch and found a shallow bowl carved into the rock. Inside, suspended in clear ice, was a stone the size of a bird's egg, shining with an inner light of blue, gold, and white. The Starstone. A voice filled his mind. "What do you seek, traveler?" Tom answered, "I want to see the truth of the world, and of myself. And what will you give in return?" The voice asked. Tom thought of all the kindness he'd received. "I will give what was given to me," he said. Kindness, patience, listening. The ice cracked, and he lifted the warm, living stone. The world opened to him. He saw the connections in everything, how every act of kindness guards another's flame of hope. He saw himself as a single, necessary thread in a vast, bright tapestry. The descent was a challenge of its own. A fierce storm trapped him on the mountain, but he remembered Haim's words. He listened to the storm, moving in its pauses, and played his whistle to calm its rage, eventually finding his way back to the hut. The long journey home was a reflection of his journey up. At the market, the map seller refused payment, saying Tom's face was thanks enough. In the forest, the listener told him, "The truth is simple. Carry it simply." At the bridge, the keeper saw his change. "You are lighter," she said. "I left my fear," Tom replied. "I kept enough to stay wise, but I left the kind that makes you small." When he finally walked back into his village, he was no longer just the boy who dreamed of the mountains. He was Tom, the boy who had listened to their stories, who had found the Star Stone, and who now understood that the greatest truth is carried not in a glowing rock, but in a gentle heart, shared one kind act at a time. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales of courage and discovery. Until next time, walk with a kind heart.